Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the ILLRIGGER and the Sanguine Knight subclass in Baldur's Gate 3, part of the D&D Player's Handbook 2024 All-in-One Beyond mod by Yoonmoonsik. This subclass is more of a support striker type attacker. With this we get our baleful interdicts here, which we can apply onto the enemy to get a little extra damage. This is kind of akin to a fighter or paladin type subclass, but this one here having some extra support based abilities. So at level 1 here we get our baleful interdicts and the burning seals, which we can use to apply additional extra fire damage on the target. And you can do this by doing a weapon attack or by using a bonus action, which lets you place it up to 9 meters away from you. You also get the forked tongue here, giving you advantage on insight checks, and we also get our weapon masteries with cleave, grave, nick, push, sap, slow, topple, and vex, depending on the weapon that you're using. Now, this is a charisma based class, and it can also be a strength based one. However, this is also a medium armor class. I actually think it's probably best to go with a medium armor setup just because we're going to want to have a good armor class while we're in that. So an ideal stat spread would be something akin to this here with 16 dexterity, 16 charisma, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, and 10 wisdom. However, you can take points and put your dexterity up to 17 if you prefer, as there are a lot of changes to feats now, making some more feats more powerful, so the odd +1 is actually a little bit better, because a lot of them actually get a now +1 to a certain stat. But level 2, we get a lot of options. We get our interdict boons. I'm not going to break down every option that we have here because people usually skip over these sections, but the best one in my opinion is the interdict boon swift retribution. So whenever we get hit with an opportunity, whenever we do an opportunity attack, we do not end up using our reaction, provided we're not incapacitated. So this will just give us a free attack, so we can actually end up doing a couple of these. Weaponizing our reaction is one of the best things we can do, and this just gives us another free attack. Unleash Hell is also another one which will give us additional fire damage on the target. And at later levels, Vengeful Shot's really nice because if we get hit with a ranged weapon attack, we can strike back and do another. But for right now, we're going to go with this here. You can choose another option if you do prefer that. And for our combat masteries, we can increase our range to 18 meters here instead of 9 meters, which could be pretty useful. It also upgrades some of our future abilities too. Brutal is really nice. I personally enjoy this one quite a bit because you can push back an enemy 4.5 meters with an attack, and then you get movement speed equal to that, so you can run up and get right in their face again. There's also Bravado here, which will add a charisma modifier plus dexterity modifier to our armor class if we're wearing no armor, which I don't think is really a great option for this class. So for our subclass, Sanguine Knight is one I mentioned there. Let me know if you want to see the others. I did cover the Painkiller previously, the Architect Rune being a spellcaster. I do have a build from a different mod, and the Shadow Master more of a stealth based one. But with this here, we are able to get expertise in the religion skill, Exanguish. You can drain enemies to embolden your allies. Whenever you place a seal, you can choose an ally that you see within 9 meters of you to gain temporary hit points equal to the damage dealt to the seal. Pretty cool. Or with the seal, 1d6 there. Embolden allies. Invoke Hell as a bonus action. You can restore a number of hit points equal to 5 times your ILLRIGGER level divided by however many allies you choose. Pretty cool, because that's a pretty big heal if you just choose a single target. And Invoke Hell Vitalize, so you can flood your allies with invigorating vivacity. No action required. For 1 minute, each creature of your choice within 9 meters gains advantage on all ability checks. Pretty nice if you ask me. Invoke Hell Embolden Allies as a bonus action. You can restore total number of hit points equal to 5 times your ILLRIGGER level, divided by however many times you choose yourself. And I guess it's the same ability there, but it uses our Invoked Hell charges, which you can also use for Vitalize there. Now, again, this is more of a support-based class, but we also are a striker. We do have high damage. So our first feat that we can get, I would actually recommend one of the feats here, Savage Attacker. When you make weapon attacks, you can re-roll your damage die and use the second, or use the highest result. This is just a flat out increase to our DPS. That's always a nice option. You could also go with Mage Slayer, increase our dexterity here, and whenever we attack a concentrating creature, they have a chance, they get disadvantage on their saving throw, and we can re-roll a saving throw that we fail that is a mental save. Pretty useful in all honesty. It's a massive buff. I think that Savage Attacker is a little bit better, especially if you like to be more offensive focused. Now, once we get to level 5, extra attack. Nice. So we can now do a lot more damage. Level 6 gives us the Infernal Conduits here. So you get the Invigorate one. Using an Infernal Conduit charge, you can sacrifice half your hit points to recover a ally's equal amount of hit points. Or you can take the Devour ability here, which does damage to the enemy and recovers hit points to your character. So you got some sustain options here once we hit level 6. Pretty cool stuff. Level 7 here gives us our subclass feature, Foul Interchange. As an action, you can choose a creature within 9 meters of you and expend a seal to end one of the following conditions: blind, charmed, dazed, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned. And then you can use another creature within 18 meters of you. They must do a constitution save or suffer a random condition. So yeah, that's a pretty nice ability there. Saving a teammate from being paralyzed is extremely useful. Just one note, it is a full action to be able to do that, so just a heads up on that. Now that we're level 7, we get more powerful options. Conflagger and Channel is basically like a longer range Misty Step. Shadow Shroud can give a target a bonus to their armor class for 10 turns. But as mentioned, Vengeful Shot just ends up being a really nice one because when a creature makes a weapon attack against you or an ally within 9 meters of you, you can expend a seal to make a reaction weapon attack against the attacker. That is nice, and it does additional damage. So we want that because, again, anytime that we're able to weaponize our reactions and get some extra damage in a turn, it's just going to put us ahead of the enemy. Now, as I mentioned, Mage Slayer is really nice. You could go to the ability score improvement if you wanted to, and there's a lot of other ones that now give you like a +1 to dexterity or your stats here. So my choice, Mage Slayer, dexterity increase. Again, making it so that targets that are holding concentration are more likely to break them, and also making it so that we can protect ourselves from a saving throw that we fail. A level 9 is just a level that gives us hit points there, and you can swap out any of the abilities. I actually recommend trying some of them out just to get a feel for them too if you're leveling up. But here we go, at level 10 we get a class feature, Blood Price. You can strengthen your defenses at the cost of your vitality. Whenever you fail a saving throw, you can spend one of your hit point die, rolling it and adding the number to the save. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, level 10, nice. We actually are it's coming together. But level 11 is one of my favorite class abilities. You get the Terrorizing Force, which adds an additional 1d8 of cold, fire, necrotic, or poison damage. I think that's a cool combo of different elemental damage type. Or I guess not elemental in the cases of necrotic and poison, but really nice to have that. You also get Blood Stroke, so a magical shield that shields your allies and now saps the enemy's strength. When an ally who has temporary hit points from your Exanguish feature is hit with a melee attack, the attacker takes 11 necrotic damage. Pretty good. Yeah, we want to be trying to apply that heal as much as possible just so that it can wear down the enemy a little bit quicker. We also get to take one final boon here. You can take the earlier levels, but you now have the level 12 ones. 3 choices. Soul's Doom. When you use a bonus action to place or move a seal, you can scorch the seal into the target soul for 10 turns or 1 minute. Whenever the interdicted creature takes damage, they take extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus. There's a Flash of Brimstone. Also, want to quickly mention, this is really nice with Magic Missile. Flash of Brimstone. When you place or move a seal, you can activate this boon, no action required, to magically teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet. My favorite is the Dis's Onslaught. When you burn a seal, you can make one weapon attack as part of that action. So yeah, nice. Bit of extra damage there. We also get to take a last feat here. So you could go with the Alert feat here to give yourself a little tiny boost to your initiative, but I do think the best choice is either go with a Dex or a Charisma increase. And if you want with Strength, we'd be increasing Strength, obviously. There are also a lot of extra feats that are added with this, and I did do a video breaking down all the new feats in this. There's over 100, so you can check out that video if you're curious. And for gear that we'll be using, I personally like, from the start of the game, the Adamantine Scale Mail, as we're a medium armor wearer. This is one of the best sets in the game, and it can be used all the way through to the end. However, if you want to min-max, you would want to go with the Armor of Agility, as this will set our armor class up even higher. I also have the Cloak Protection, and Seal Watcher Helmet will make it so we cannot be blinded. That's kind of nice. In the early game, Haste Helmet, and even the Helmet Baldur in there is going to be one of the best options in slot, just because we don't have any heavy needs for anything else. Birthright Hat also being another great choice once you make it to Act 3. I also got the Gloves of Dexterity. Any of the items that change your stats are now changed around. This does put our dex up to 22 though, which is enough to give ourselves another armor class point, which is great. I also have the Boots of Stormy Clamor on to apply reverberation against the enemy. Always a nice choice. Amulet of the Greater Health has also changed to only give a +3 to Constitution now versus the setting your Constitution score to 23 and adding Constitution saving throw advantage. Now we also get our, I guess we should also put on the Killer Sweetheart for crits. You don't have to use this ring. I also like to use a Caustic Band, which is now rated as a very rare item. It's adding a little extra rate or acid damage onto our attacks. Ring of Free Action is another really nice option because this will let you move around unimpeded. So can be good if you end up getting crowd controlled. I'm also a fan of the Shadow Cloak Ring to add additional 1d4 of damage types onto their attacks. But if we really want to min-max our extra damage, we'd go with like Shadow Cloak Ring and the Caustic Band. And I also have the Hellrider Longbow for the +12 to initiative, just to ensure that we do end up going first. The Infernal Rapier, this ends up being a good one because we can use our Charisma for attacking, but that's only if you end up speccing into Charisma. If you spec into Dexterity, the Knife of the Undermounted King is one of the better weapons, giving us increased damage, critical hit chance, and advantage on attack rolls when lately are heavily obscured. Same thing here with our Shadow Cloaked Ring, so you get advantage and double or extra damage. Now, you could also go with a lot of other weapons. Fowler Alluve is one that comes to mind. I really like that weapon. You can get all the way from the start of the game, carry it to the end, with Fowler Alluve Melody being really nice. I also have Iconia's Walking Fortress as our shield. It's pretty strong. All right, so for combat, we have our seals here. Now, we can use our weapon to apply them or a bonus action. Now, typically, it's best to just do it with a weapon attack. Funny enough, with the Shadow, or I guess it's not really a Shadow Blade, but the Knight of the King's Shadow Blade ability, we get advantage on heavily or lightly obscured targets, and we get that extra 1d4 of damage. This little bit of shadow counts. So we got ourselves extra damage here. I want to roll that, yeah. We vex the target and add 25 damage. We get the interdicted on them, which means that they're now impacted by our seal. But we also have the Vex ability on them, so we have advantage on attack rolls against that creature, which is amazing. And since we applied conditions, our boots will also apply reverberation. Now, this wasn't enough to finish them off, and I don't want to push further into there. You can use the burning seals to be able to apply the seal there. I attacked there by accident, but yeah, you do have the seals, so you can use those instead if you wanted to just apply the seal onto a target. I'm going to go with that there, put that onto the target. Boom, he's now interdicted, and we can then go ahead with our burning seals here, necrotic or fire damage, your choice, and pop off with that, and then get a little extra damage in. And I guess since I just used a baleful interdict, what's funny is that lets you actually use your main hand attack again. I'm just going to attack from range here with the arrow many targets, and hopefully get a couple. Yeah, nice. We were able to apply fairy fire and interdicted both targets, or actually no, just this target. Funny enough, that's one of the things with arrow many targets. You can hit a little extra targets, and we slowed both of them too, which is perfect. So they now have their movement speed reduced by 3 meters. And this target right here is interdicted, so we can always just start off with popping it. So we did that, 12 damage. He saved on it. That's okay, because we're going to go ahead with arrow many targets to try and hit get a critical miss. We'll re-roll that and do a critical hit. Arrow of many targets. If the first arrow is a crit, it turns all of them into crits. So we turn a crit miss into a crit hit. That's amazing. We also have our blood stroke here, so the magical shield for protecting our allies and making them deal additional 11 damage to attackers. I'm doing this solo, but obviously you'd want to be popping that on your teammates whenever you have that active, because it does not use your action or your bonus action. Now, we do have some other fun abilities, again, support based, so if we had teammates that are blinded or anything like that, you want to use those. We get Devour too. This doesn't do a crazy amount of damage. You can have the upcasted version that does a 60-10. It says 12 to 120. That's just the way that the tooltips read, but you'd be doing the 60 damage there against the target. I actually may use that. Yeah, I'll try that right now just to show it off. And you can recover yourself a bit of health. I could have probably waited till the next turn to do that, but 35 damage, that's not too bad. I should also mention, turn on your terrorizing forces here. Now, darkness doesn't work quite like it did in the previous version of Baldur's Gate 3. You can attack from here, so this is fine. You only have a 3-meter radius. Pathing was interrupted there. That's not ideal, but you can still make some attacks against targets if you're in darkness, so that's something that's nice. We were able to vex this target here. I might just try to get the KO. Perfect. And when in doubt, run away. So we're going to force that target to come after us here, and it worked. They had to dash to get there, so that ate up their... Oh, no, they still have a bonus action, which is fine. We can use our sonic ability there. Good amount of damage. I guess that's counted as a level 4 spell, so it makes sense. And they don't have the interdict, so we're going to apply it with our attack. They're now vexed and interdicted, so then we can go ahead, pop it with the fire, and boom, it was enough to finish them off. So yeah, those interdicts are really nice. And that is the Sanguine Knight. Now, you don't get heavy armor proficiency. Basically, with this class, it's about supporting and protecting your allies how you can with the Foul Exchange, and the heal that's going to make it so that they reflect damage onto the enemy. So, very interesting class. It's still going to be a damage class at the end of the day. Like, you're still going to be applying your seals and dealing damage with that. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. We'll catch you all in the next one.